So our topic is human overpopulation, and it's super important to us because it impacts a lot of different facets and aspects of our society. It will lead to food shortages and environmental degradation, and also overpopulation impacts different groups of people based off socioeconomic status, what nation you live in, and other factors as well. And this is truly a wicked problem because there is no clear solution to human overpopulation. You can't put legislation or policy in place that will directly limit how many kids you can have or any sort of measures of population control. So human overpopulation as a tool of discussion when it comes to climate change is very taboo. And because it's so taboo and because people aren't necessarily willing to have the conversations about it, there is no clear solution that can be found right now. And so hopefully what this presentation will shed some light on how overpopulation impacts different aspects of society so that we can be more aware of the issue so we can confront it head on and find some solutions for it.
Okay, so I will be talking about how food shortages affect overpopulation and society. So first off, usually underdeveloped countries don't implement the right farming techniques and have enough education to really teach them sufficient ways to farm and provide for their community. So usually they lack the amount of resources and food to supply for their people. And typically in more developed countries, with overpopulation and such, there will be more need for housing, and then that will lead to deforestation, and then deforestation leading to droughts, which can be very, very bad for farmland. Okay, so what I learned from the research articles is that scientists are currently trying to find ways to reduce the amount of food wasted and producing more food in easier ways so that future generations will have enough food for their families and for their kids.
The wicked problem of overpopulation also causes significant socioeconomic issues that manifest not only in the United States but globally as well. In Causes and Health Consequences of Environmental Degradation and Social Injustice, Martin Donahoe talks about the maldistribution of wealth in the U.S., saying, quote, "The richest 1% of the United States' population owns 48% of the country's wealth, while the poorest 80% owns just 6%. Ours is the widest gap of any industrialized nation," end quote. Donahoe also talks about how the debts that third world countries owe to first world countries continuously strain the economy of third world countries, which increases local poverty and lowers the standards of living for the citizens that live there. As the population in third world countries increases, many do not receive all that they need to thrive because much of the country's resources are funneled into exportation so that they can continue paying off the debts that they owe. In an article published in the British Medical Journal, Richard Smith suggests that one solution to combat overpopulation in third world countries, as well as elsewhere, is to make more resources available to women, such as contraception and avenues to increase their literacy. Smith also makes a very notable point, quote, "One response to this problem must be to keep population on the agenda at every level of administration, from the United Nations to the village council," end quote. He continues on to stress just how important it is that governments, big and small, work within their domains to do what they can to inhibit population growth, and that change starts by bringing it to the forefront of a collective's mind. This can be achieved by turning research, studies, data, polls, and history into a format that most people will be able to access and easily understand. Statistics and mathematics achieve this very well as they contribute graphs as visuals and percentages as a concept that most people can gauge and understand.
So one impact of human overpopulation is the environment. Increased resource use brought on by a growing population will lead to an increase in greenhouse gas emissions. More people also means more space is needed, so deforestation is going to occur as well as more and more people inhabit this planet. And that's obviously an issue because trees capture in a lot of carbon dioxide, and without those trees there to capture, or without as many trees to capture, that's going to go up in the atmosphere and contribute to global warming. So the science is clear. Human overpopulation impacts the discipline of environmental science in a negative way. The issue is people's perception of the problem, and according to David Roberts in a popular media article, people apparently aren't willing to confront the issue head on. They're not making the connection between human overpopulation and environmental science. In fact, people rarely discuss human overpopulation, according to him, because it's such a taboo subject. However, in a study by Susan Peacock, this is a little bit contradictory. She found a little bit different of a finding. She gathered people from different backgrounds in a randomized block design to discuss the environment and human overpopulation. And it turns out that everyone, regardless of their background, agreed that human overpopulation does impact climate change. Now, the issue is in this study is that while they agreed on the cause, they didn't necessarily agree on a solution, and the solution was unclear. So obviously the discipline of statistics was used in this study because a randomized block design was used, which is important because that's going to gather relevant info that is representative of the population of people from different populations. She took a sample that can hopefully be explained, can hopefully explain attitudes of a larger group of people. And of course, the overall theme, the overall discipline is that it builds on psychology, which helps us understand how people think about these problems. Human overpopulation is still a little taboo today, but in order for us to find a good solution to human overpopulation, we need to start having discussions and we need to start making people aware of just how bad human overpopulation, just how negative of the impacts human overpopulation has on our environment. So if we want to find solutions, we need more people to be aware, and that's what researchers like Susan Peacock helped to discover, that people are willing to have the conversation, and so that's what we need to start having if we want to move on.
In conclusion, overpopulation is a wicked problem because it is a social problem that has no clear solution and that interacts closely with other significant problems, such as world hunger and food shortages, socioeconomic disparities, and environmental degradation. It ultimately impacts every human on this planet, even if the effects aren't as apparent for some as they are for others. Fortunately, this is a wicked problem that is still actively being monitored, and some research shows that the human population growth curve is flattening, so there's still some time to challenge the taboo that surrounds solving the problems around overpopulation and make the world more habitable for those that already live here and for the generations to come. Instead of backing away from the challenge and stigma, we must confront this problem head on and help to erase the negative connotations that persist. Only then, when we have wholly accepted that fighting overpopulation and its detrimental effects are for our salvation, will we be able to solve this problem. Thank you.